Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it's time to do the how to build video for the new Summer Memories 2.0 meta. Now, this is very similar to the old Summer Memories meta, which they very much did on purpose, since we only really have 2.5 metas of it. So I'm grateful that they kept it relatively the same. This is a magic-focused team, whereas the old one was physical. Not that big of a deal. But it is fairly easy to use, and the best part is they gave us 3 characters for free, essentially. So it means that most people can fill this up fairly easily, because we have the free Summer Millum, and the free Summer Hinata that you get out of that daily quest. And so a lot of people will only have to put in 1 or 2 characters at that point, which is pretty easy to do because they would just be supports. But this is a burst/speed blue orb focused team with a dark nuking character, and the beatdown battle specifically, you can use Aegis and you can use crit, which does open up a number of possibilities. Because crit, we just came out of the Tales of meta. There are some other crit units. Aegis, not so much. This is our second Aegis-focused team, and we don't have another really good one to put to it because Spirit Master was a stacking team, and a lot of it is restricted to stacking. So let's go ahead and jump into the best ways to build a team around the new Summer Memories units. Starting out with what charm you should probably use for this, I would probably recommend the 2-star Blue Souls Protection Charm. It's a 20% increase to your protection gauge when you're sending blues, because when using Guy, you get 20 skill points every time you use him, and you stack that 10% attack for the first 5 turns. So the more protection gauge you can get, the more skill points you can get, and the more stacks of attack you can get. So this one is going to be pretty good, and it's only a 2-star charm. Like, you can very easily upgrade these as you see fit, and they'll be a very, very good generic charm for you. Another good charm is kind of dependent on what you're trying to do, but if you're especially in like the Inferno or higher stages, the AoE attack charm is going to be good, because beatdown battle for Inferno and higher is an AoE fight. This would not do you much for the EX2 battle, because it's a single target, but an AoE charm for the higher difficulty could give you that extra little oomph that your Dark Millum or whoever the next DPS is going to be needs to actually get that kill. Since we are a dark-focused team, the next one could be the Dark Attack Charm up here. Dark Attack Charm. If your nuking character is dark, well then yeah, give him a little extra dark attack. That totally works too. And then we don't really need a lot of skill points on the blue orbs. Like, we're getting so much of them from Guy's passive and using him that this seems a bit unnecessary. And then depending on your team build, you might already be covered for ult gauge on blues, because you might be sending rainbows with Blanc. But if you do not have the new Blanc and you find yourself missing out on ult gauge, you do have the Enamor effect, which gives you extra ult gauge at the end of turn from the free-to-play Ramaris or the Summer Lumi if you have her. But if you don't have any of that, then you might need a little bit extra ult gauge, in which case the Blue Souls Secret Skill Charm might also be pretty good for you. But those are my best recommendations for charms. If you find something else that you like, then that's totally fine, but I would probably most likely just run the 20% extra protection gauge just to get that extra little stack of Guy's attack buff. Alright, moving on to your Orb Changers, this is very, very easy. Turn 1 is going to be Ifrit. Ifrit converts 2 orbs of any color that are Summer Memories characters to blue. And the turn 1 for beatdown battle is 2 oranges and 4 blues. And Ifrit is free, so you're covered there. And then turn 2, you have Guy, who is doing all of your conversion after that point. So realistically, you only need someone to convert turn 1, whether it be Ifrit or if you want to bring someone else, you could bring like Visions of Coleus Violet for the magic buff, and she would also change 2 oranges and a green. to blues, but I mean, once you get even like 5 or 4 blue orbs and you've got the big 3 or something, you have access to Guy. And once you have Guy is doing your full hand converts to blue orbs. So you don't need anybody else for that. So very, 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 very simple and easy. Use Ifrit, or the alternative is that you use Blanc and you have 36 skill points to start with by bringing Water Soe or Space Milim or something. And you could use a Rainbow Convert, and then you're also covered because that's your entire hand. And then turn 2, you use Guy. So you really don't need to think too hard about Orb Changers, since most of it's being done by Guy himself. Alright, in terms of alt swapping, the free-to-play character, for the first time in a while, does not do the alt swapping. He does the little kind of 10% buff for you, and then the orb changing. So in the event you do need to alt swap into a blue orb, I mean, there are a few options you can use. First off, like Visions of Coleus Blanc, still useful. She's got that weakness strike buff. The synergy resistance down, since you're not going to really be trying to synergy most of the time, is not super impactful. And plus, on turn 5, they also do the debuff reversal. And so if you are trying to synergy and you use that buff on turn 5, it will become a synergy resistance buff for the enemy. So not the best thing in the world to use, but you can definitely hold on to the weakness strike and call that a day. You could also do the same thing with Ogre's Pride Shuna. There she is. She also has that triple alt swap to blues. That's fine and dandy. You could use Exalted Champion Rimuru and get a 1-turn convert to rainbows for your alts. Or you could really use any color, because Guy is changing every orb to blue. So even if you were to use Idle Shuna, not that I think you should, but if you had to, and you would convert Milim and Blanc salts to green, you would then use Guy and you would change those to blues anyways. This is a burst team though. I'm not sure how much alt swapping you need, because you have rainbows here. Probably very easy to get a Milim or Hinata alt because they have both of their ways to steal orbs. So most likely you can get their EX alt and then send them away, and then whatever else you get is a support alt, hopefully, and you keep sending those. So alt swapping, I think for now, is a bit low on the priority scale, but you do have some options available. Alright, next up is damage support, which you could really go one of two ways here. Because you have either the AoE nuking character in Milim or Hinata for free. So, I mean, we're not going to worry about anything else here. You have both of these characters, and you just have to take your pick which stage you're doing, and if you need a single target or AoE. Blanc with the rainbows and the stacking attack buff that you can use twice, Guy with the Aegis rate and stacking attack, and then Ifrit with the stacking physical or magic attack. Yeah, sure, fine, they'll work. Now what you have to decide is that, are you nuking on turn 5 or are you doing it earlier? Because if you do it earlier, you can still debuff the enemies, which means that you can bring Velzard, you can bring Mommy Blanc, and you can get the damage buff and the dark resistance down, or the Aegis resistance down. Like, that totally 100% works from turn 1 to turn 4. On turn 5, you can no longer debuff them, which means that Velzard is out, and Blanc, you wouldn't get the full benefit of her damage buff. You'd get half of it. So it's really up to you what you want to do. You can use synergy if you have Sokka and you have Lumi together, but that's a big strong if, and that's also before turn 5. But if you are nuking on turn 5, then your best bet is probably to bring the new collab Xion, Tales of Xion, because she's got the 100% crit buff, and you are allowed to crit this fight. And hers is not a debuff, it's a buff, which means you can use it turn 4 or turn 5. It really doesn't matter. You can use some pretty easy weakness strike. You can use alt damage. You can use just a normal, like, you could do more attack buff if you really wanted to. Since you're physical, you could use the Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, and while his debuff is there, you can definitely hold on to the physical attack buff for Milim or Hinata, and then just not worry about the debuff part, because it'll go away by the end of by turn 5 when you're ready to nuke, actually. And he's also technically free because you can get him from the mission, so that's fantastic as well. So I mean, if anything, even if you don't have Blanc, you have Hinata, you have Milim, you could run them both together, and then you just need to complete one more setup unit, which could be Tales of Xion, it could be the Ogre's Pride Shuna, that way you have an alt swap, and you have that weakness strike buff. That's totally allowable and acceptable. You could use like an EX alt buff or an alt buff, so like Jean has the alt, and if you're going to do Primal Demon nuke with like Blanc, you'd have the EX alt damage as well. If you're going to nuke on turn 5, you cannot use debuffs, and you can't use Synergy or Pierce, which does heavily limit your damage supports. But if you're confident that your Milim can kill on turn 4, then you have pretty much everything available to you debuff-wise. It's just you still really can't use Synergy or Pierce unless you're bringing a butt ton of it. Like, a butt ton of it. So you just kind of have to see what you have in your box. Do you have an alt swapper? Do you have an element buffer? Like, Divine General Raphael would work very well here, because he is buffing Dark Attack and more alt damage with his zero-cost skill. Raphael will work. So there are options. It's just that, do you have those options available is the better question. But there are quite a few. Alright, I mean, DPS characters. I've been saying it the entire time. If you're going to do EX2 or below, you are fighting one enemy, Veldora. If you're going to go into Beatdown Battle Catalyst in any of these 4 stages, it is now an AoE fight. But they gave away, in the gift quest, they give away a free copy of Milim, who's AoE, and a free copy of Hinata, who is single target. They're both dark. They're both on Summer Memories. So, even if you don't summon for whatever the new DPS character is going to be, because we don't have it yet, you have both your options covered, at least to a point. Your damage might not be there because you don't have the support units, you don't have the gear, but your DPS units are covered. And realistically, the other option you can bring is, of course, Mommy Blanc, because she is dark and she is AoE and she's a DPS and she has her big time skill. So like, 2 of your options are free. One of them is a highly coveted character who is probably best in the game. So you're looking pretty good right now. I don't have to spend too much time on it. Get Milim, get Hinata, get one of each if you don't have either of them, and you can kind of try and start to brute force your way through it. But these 2 are given away for free. Alright, now looking at alternative protection characters that you can use if you, by chance, don't have Guy. Well, I mean, if you have Warrior's Mind Shuna, she is also giving extra damage against light enemies, which means that if you have Mommy Blanc, it really becomes trivial. Like, even for Inferno and Dire 2, like, I can kill that in 3 turns with a Warrior's Mind team. And I'll definitely have a video on that, but not right now. But if you have the Warrior's Mind 2.0 team, you're pretty good. Even if it's Pierce and debuff focused, it really doesn't matter, because you can kill them in 3 turns. But Shuna, as a whole, will also work, because she has that debuff, and she's giving the physical down, which both Hinata and Milim are physical down. It just means you'd have to nuke her on turn 4. But in terms of burst blue protectors, like, we have Guy, and then we have the old Summer Memories trainee, who probably won't cut it for Inferno or higher, but she can definitely work for EX2 and below. And since she is the team that came out with Hinata and Milim, like, they'll run fine together. Apart from that, we don't really have a lot of burst blue protectors. I mean, we have bitch-ass Template trainee, don't use her. So you're pretty much limited to an orange team so like Shuna, or Himmel, or even the Collab Rimuru, or you're limited to a blue team. And you don't have to be a burst blue, you don't have to use Guy. You could use a stacking blue protector if you really, really wanted to. You could do Visions of Coleus, even though she's synergy-based. You could do Commander with Renard, even though he is also debuff-based. It just means you have to do a few things and gotta work around. Diablo was given away for free at a time, but he is debuff-focused as well, so you do have to be very careful. If you were playing for the nuke on turn 5, no debuffs. So then your pickings become quite slim. But if you are comfortable and confident that you can nuke before turn 5, then you can just use pretty much anybody. But you can also, alternatively, go to turn 8, and then they will not have the debuff swap on them, so then you can use anybody you really, really want to. You could use Renard, you could use Diablo, you could use any stacking protector. Like, you could even try and make Ogre's Pride Benimaru work. I don't know if that will work super well with all their Pierce resistance, but you could make it, or you just don't focus on it and just don't bring a Pierce rate character and just try and nuke with just this and like Milim and something and a bunch of other supports. That's up to you as well. So there are like 3 different phases of nuking: before turn 5, on turn 5, or on turn 8. So take your pick. You either are not debuff locked, you are debuff locked, or you're not debuff locked but you have to survive to turn 8, which they kind of hit hard. So those are your 3 phases of battle. Take your pick on when you're nuking, and then build your team and your damage supports and your protection character for when you are attempting to nuke. Alright, and finally, for some example teams, definitely not every team you could make to clear EX2 or higher, but these are some options for you if you have them available. We have the the meta Guy, Blanc, and then we've got Summer Milim. This is assuming you want the AoE, or you just flip and do Hinata and use her instead for single target. But Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, the new Tail Xion, Divine General Raphael, buff, 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 her own buff and orb stealing, and buff plus buffs means that you will do too much damage here. The second team is like the actual very old Summer Memories 1.0 team. This will not kill Inferno 1, but it will very much kill EX2. So if that's all you care about, you could use this 2-year-old team, and it'll still get the job done. Warrior's Mind, if you want to brute force EX2, or up to, you could brute force Dire too, with a version of this team. Maybe not this exact team, because it requires specific characters, but I have cleared Dire 2 in 4 turns with a Warrior's Mind team with Blanc nuking, so it's definitely possible. You could do the Commander team. In the video, I have this Commander team minus Coleus Rimuru. Actually, no, did I bring him? I might have brought him, but Commander, you can get the kill in 4 turns if you're very lucky and you get a lot of Diablo orbs and you get his EX ult. You could definitely do EX2 with this team because you are blue focused, and if you kill in turn 4, you can still use the debuffs from Hinata and Glenda, so an option. And then finally, if you are just trying to clear EX2, you can stun him at any point in the fight. He has 0 stun resistance, so there's nothing here. So if you want, you just go a couple turns, stun his bitch ass with Octogram Guy, and then just stack and stack and stack on your Hinata or whoever your nuking character is, and bring whoever you want. We've got Guy and Violet because they're crit and ult resistance down, and if Veldora is stunned, he can't put the stat swap on him, and then Rimuru physical buff. So if you really, really need to, you can stun Veldora to turn 20 if you wanted to. And you could also, if you have access to her, you could bring Velzard with the stun and frostbite and the Aegis stuff. And again, if he can't debuff swap himself, then you could do the Aegis debuff. So that'll work too. But those are just a few options. There are other teams that you can use to take on the varying stages of difficulty. If you have ideas for those and they're not covered in this, let me know. But also let me know if this video helped you out or not, or if I can improve it at all, because I'm trying to help people of all playstyles here with this. So feedback, appreciated. Let me have it. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy. Good luck, and I'll see you all later.